Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 71st Rome Total War Brotherhood battle that I have put onto YouTube. It's the usual 31k rules, no RT, no LAs, 3 Berserkers max, 2 Horse Archers max, and 6 Cavalry max. That is of course the standard 31k rules. The team I'm in today consists of COH Dabby, who has bought the Germania faction. Then we have Brotherhood member Sacred, who's called himself Mark Hunt in this game, but it is Brotherhood member Sacred, and he has bought the Rome SPQR faction. Then we have Brotherhood member Mystique, who has also bought the Rome SPQR faction. And then we have myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought a little bit more of an experimental Carthage army this time, just a few tweaks here and there with different units. So that's the team. Should be a great battle to watch. And here is the other team. We have RTW player Parker, who has bought the Rome Brutio faction. We have Brotherhood member Lion Dwarf, who has bought the Greek Cities faction. We have Brotherhood member Talos, who has bought the Rome Brutii faction. And we have Heavens member Mohammed, who has bought the Rome Julio faction. So I'm sure you would agree that's a pretty good team we're facing there, full of really good factions and great players. Should be a great game to watch. At this early stage of the battle, I thought we'd pause the game and have a look at the Greek cities formation and see why the army has been split up. If you notice that the Greek cities have got their main army in the centre, but has also got pike units out to the flanks. And the reason for that is because he knows that we have got the Germania faction, and he also knows that the Berserkers would die quickly if they face pikes. So what he's done is he's put units out to his flanks to be able to support his allies for when Germania attacks any of his Roman allies. So he'll be able to throw those pike units in, and hopefully they'll kill the Berserkers before they can cause his allies to mass rout. The only possible weakness with this idea is that, of course, by spreading his army out, his main army is weaker. So the idea is good, but we'll just see if it works in practice, because as I say, his main army is that bit weaker now. As we have just seen, the enemy Greek cities armies have spread his pikes out to try and absorb any berserker hit. But if you notice that our Germania ally, has spread his army out too. He's got German units on our flanks and in the centre as well. And the reason he's done that is obviously to try and keep the enemy guessing on where he's going to strike. So it'll be interesting to see where the Germania actually does hit in the end, and see if he can confuse the enemy pike general there. At this early stage of the battle, I would like to show you some anti-Germania tactics here used by Brotherhood member Talos. Now, as you may know, that if Germania attacks a Roman army with its berserkers and axemen, etc., it can cause a mass rout. So you might be thinking, why has Talos put his army out in front of his allies there, almost asking for Germania to attack? Well, the answer is, if you look behind him, there are loads and loads of archers just ready to shoot Germania, who are very susceptible to arrows, and all those archers would kill loads of the Germania men before they even got to Talos' army. And of course they would target the berserkers as well. Also, if you notice, there are a couple of Greek city pike units not far behind him as well, which would immediately run forward to support Talos if Germania attacked. So that's quite a good tactic by Talos, trying to draw Germania out to its own death, if you like. Here you can see a panoramic view of the battlefield here. Over on our left flank, you can see that Sacred is taking his SPQR army on a flanking attack there, backed up by our Germania ally. And you can see we've got plenty of cavalry and infantry and all that Germania infantry there attacking, if you notice here, on the left flank. That's a good move by Sacred and Dabby there, to move around on the left flank in action, away from the pikes. If you notice now, also the enemy Greek cities have now attacked my Carthage formation now. in a very aggressive tactic there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the centre there, but bearing in mind that he has weakened his Greek cities' armies to take pikes out to defend against Germania, and he's up against all my pikemen. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the centre here. As you can see, Mystique was just taking her cavalry over to the left flank as well to support. As you can see, there's a lot of enemy troops there over onto the on the left flank. But I got a feeling once the berserkers are activated, that's going to make a difference. And if you notice, there's already one berserker activated in that big cavalry fight up on the left flank there. Now that berserker is going to cause a major morale drop in the enemy troops there. So that was a good move, putting a berserker unit in there. And if you notice here, you can see Mystique's cavalry charging in. Now you might wonder why is she charging into that infantry, but if you notice, there's a berserker unit there. So what she did, she spotted that. She knows that berserker unit is going to lower the morale of the enemy troops, so she smashes in with cavalry to aid that berserker unit. And if you notice, they've routed 2 enemy units there. That was good combination work there by Mystique's cavalry and Dabi's berserker unit there. Meanwhile, back in the centre, you can see that my Carthage army is now very aggressively engaged with the Greek cities there. But I think numbers might tell there. As you can see, our Germania allies general's just been killed, so that will lower the morale of Germania's troops. But we'll have to see how they're doing over on the left in a minute. But if you notice that my Carthage force is moving forward slowly, if you notice, Mystique's put a unit in Testudo on my flank to stop enemy units getting around my flank, and has also brought more support units over. She knows that defending the flanks and rear of your pike allies really is an important thing to do. Meanwhile, over on our left, you can see that Sacred's SBQR units and the Germania faction, especially those berserker units. There you go, there's the berserker units attacking the Brutii, enemy Brutii infantry there, backed up by our allies' SBQR infantry. And more Germania troops going in. Those Night Raiders, they also have a fear factor. So it's looking pretty good for us on the left flank here at the moment. I wouldn't think the enemy forces would be able to hold that that long with those 2 berserker units and all that our infantry as well. If you notice, Mystique's SBQR cavalry are also charging in. My guess is if it goes into the back of that Brutii fighting Brutii, yes, it's going to rout those units as well. So things are looking pretty good on our left here. Meanwhile, back over on our right and in the centre here, you can see that my Carthage army is slowly plodding through the Greek cities. But it's a real slogging match there, because as you all know, the Greek cities have 2 hit points and are very difficult to kill and are really elite infantry. So whenever you fight Greek cities, it's always touch and go to know exactly what's going to happen. But I have got the numbers there, and I have got the upgrades on my infantry, so I'm hoping they're going to do well. If you notice, some of the enemy Julii infantry have actually got in behind me now. If you notice that, they're getting in behind me, so that's a bit could be a bit dodgy there. If you notice back over on the left, you can see Talos has brought infantry units around the rear of our allies' SBQR units, and that's a nice move by Talos, very tactical, and yeah, really good move there. He read that that part of the battlefield extremely well there, being able to draw his infantry round behind. That was a good move. But I still feel that on this left flank, with the berserker units still active and all that SBQR cavalry and infantry, we should be able to prevail here on our left flank, I would think. As I say, cavalry, allied cavalry working in unison with berserker units can be devastating, as I think you've just probably seen there. Meanwhile, back in the centre, you can see that we've just routed the Greek city general, and now I'm mostly fighting enemy Julii infantry now, as I think most of the Greek cities have been routed. So that experimental Carthage army of mine seems to have done okay there. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to get the Carthage army exactly as I want it, and won't have to experiment anymore. As you can see here over on the right, you can see that Mystique has brought some infantry units around the rear of the enemy Julii infantry there. Another good tactical move there. And as you can see now, my Carthage army has beaten everything that we wanted to in the centre, so I'm going to up spears. As you see, I've lifted the spears and I'm now running my troops over to help Mystique on the right. Now, I'm not going to bother to put my pikes down. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to charge my infantry into the back of that Julii infantry with their swords. And I'm just going to rely on the charge bonus and that their morale is so low that once we start hitting them, they're going to rout. And as you see, I'm just charging them in with their swords now, and you can see that the Julii infantry now have routed. There you go. So you don't need to always have your pikes down in battle with pike units. If you know where to use them just right, you just can charge in with your swords and you can still do as much damage. Meanwhile, over on our left flank here, you can see that I moved my slingers over there, who are absolutely pelting the enemy with slingshots all the time during the battle here. But you can also see that there's quite a few of, I believe, mostly Talos's infantry still there on the left. I can see there's one Berserker unit still active, and still several of our allies' SBQR units are still active there as well. But I think as we've won over on the right flank now, what we would do is run our troops over as fast as we can to assist our ally on the left here.
Enemy cowards, run!
As you can see there, there's not a lot of enemy units left, and the units that are left are all very battle damaged. So I'm thinking that once our victorious army from the right comes over and starts attacking them, that I would have thought that the enemy units would rout then.
The enemy general flees like
There, did you notice that a lot of the Brutii forces then have just been admitted defeat and have routed now? And I believe there's just a few units of Parker's RTW player Parker's units left now. But if you notice the dead on the battlefield, you can you see that flying German up in the air there? If you notice him up in the air, can you see that? He's obviously part of the German flying corps. You don't see many of them these days. I'd just like to say that was a really great battle there. I'd like to say really well played to the other team. There were some great tactical moves by everybody on that battlefield there, and some really massive cavalry charges. Also, what I liked, which I hope you liked, was the combination of Berserker and cavalry charges. The Berserker's got such a fear factor that if you can smash in with your cavalry behind the Berserker unit as well, you can really cause a lot of the enemy units to rout. I thought our team played extremely well, great tactical moves, and really great teamwork, but also the other team played really well too. And to be honest with you, I think the game could have gone either way. It was interesting to see the Greek cities formation, and just wonder what you think about that, whether that was a good move or would you do that. This is Spartan Commander saying, I hope you enjoyed the battle. Bye for now.